his base. Then from there he then goes to South Indian travel. That covers 6 years travel, and that covers most of Madhya Leela. And then after finishing his South Indian tour, he then goes to Vrindavana. And on the way he touches Varanasi, goes to Vrindavan, visits different forests of Vrindavan, identifies Shyamakund, Radhakund, and relishes pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna in every forest, and then comes back to Varanasi, and there he defeats all the Mayavadis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati. So that's what we saw in the 25th chapter of Madhya Leela. So after finishing his visit to Vrindavan, from Varanasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes back to Puri. So Antya Leela covers the final 18 years of manifest pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his pastimes for 48 years in all, of which Adi Leela covered 24 years already. Madhya Leela covered next 6 years, make it 30. So the final 18 years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. So Antya Leela is all Puri pastimes. And Antya Leela also, you can broadly divide that into two parts. The first, Antya Leela has 20 chapters. Like Madhya Leela had 25, Antya Leela has 20. Those 20 chapters, you can divide into two parts. The first part, which is the first 13 chapters, it deals with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dealings with his devotees, his personal associates, his exemplary dealings with Vaishnavas. So the first 13 chapters. The remaining 7 chapters talks about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's manifestation of Mahabhava. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was remembering Krishna, either directly seeing Krishna or by worshipping his different paraphernalia, relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing holy name, describing about the qualities of Krishna. Sikshashtakam is the final chapter actually. The 20th chapter is the Sikshashtakam, the verse which we recite every day, that comes from Caitanya Caritamrta. That was personally composed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So in this way, Antya Leela you can broadly classify into two parts. First 13 chapters dealing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's exemplary dealings with his different devotees, and the 7 chapters deals with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's manifestations of ecstatic symptoms of Mahabhava, pure, unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Now these 13 chapters also, interestingly, each chapter deals with one particular devotee. So there are 13 devotees you will get to know more about by reading these chapters. Like the first chapter is about Srila Rupa Goswami. Likewise you will see there's one for Haridas Thakur. You will see passing away of Haridas Thakur, for example. One for Chota Haridas. Like that, each of these first 13 chapters it deals with one particular devotee. This is where you will see Raghunath Das Goswami's visiting Puri, getting personal instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that. So every chapter, when you read, you understand who this chapter is about. And you understand about what qualities each one of those exalted devotees, Goswamis, personal associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they exemplified. So the first chapter, chapter 1, is Srila Rupa Goswami's second meeting with the Lord. In fact, it's a third meeting. He meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramkeli first. And then he meets again Supreme Lord in Prayag. And now again in Puri. Now the reason why it said second meeting with the Lord is when he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to go to Vrindavan, and he meets in Ramkeli where he meets the 3 brothers, Rupa, Sanatana and Anupama. At that time, Rupa Goswami was still working for the Nawab Hussain Shah, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. So he's not Rupa Goswami yet. So if you talk about Rupa Goswami, this is second meeting. Okay, so Srila Rupa Goswami's second meeting with the Lord, as we were discussing, just to understand the whole flow, Rupa Goswami, he goes to Varanasi, Benares, to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's where he learns. He hears about the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami. He hears them being narrated by his different personal associates. And then he heads towards Bengal, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had asked him to visit Bengal So now Rupa Goswami is going to Bengal again, and there he is going to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now this particular chapter especially focuses on two celebrated works of Srila Rupa Goswami. There is a pastime. So Rupa Goswami, he wrote a drama in poetic form, a drama which would later be enacted by the personal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, depicting the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan as well as in Mathura and Dwaraka. So he writes one single drama that will cover the entire Krishna book pastime. So on the way to Puri, in those days they walk. So he comes to a village, and the name of that village is Satyabhamapura. And there is a reason behind that. So when he sleeps in that place overnight, Satyabhama, who is one of Krishna's queens, who is Srimati Radharani in Dwaraka Leela, she tells to Rupa Goswami that you have written these beautiful pastimes of Krishna, but you have put all of them in one work, separate it. Write Vrindavan's pastime separate, and you separate the pastimes of Krishna in Mathura and Dwaraka. So that is one, Vrindavan and non-Vrindavan. Then he wakes up. Now because he gets the instruction of Satyabhamaji, there that place comes to be known as Satyabhamapura even now. So then he goes to Puri. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees him, first instruction Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him is, don't take Vrindavan Krishna out of Vrindavan. Re-emphasizing the same instruction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Srimati Radharani. So same Srimati Radharani came as Satyabhama and informed him there. So when Rupa Goswami hears the same thing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he smiles, understanding same instruction he is getting from Srimati Radharani 2 times. Srila Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari in Vrindavan, personal associate, personal maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So he gets the instruction from his mistress 2 times. So then he takes up the job, then he resolves, yes, even though I have written this work about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord as one single work, I will write 2 different introduction, 2 different invocation, 2 different setting for them. So he separates them into 2 work. One is called as Vidagdha Madhava, might have heard, and second is Lalita Madhava. Vidagdha Madhava, remember V for V. Vidagdha Madhava deals with Supreme Lord's Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And Lalita Madhava deals with Krishna's pastimes in Mathura and Dwaraka. One is Vrajendranandan Krishna's pastime, another one is Vasudev Krishna's pastime, or Vasudev Krishna's pastime. So these are the 2 celebrated works. So most part of this chapter you will see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he personally blesses Srila Rupa Goswami to undertake this work. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also acknowledges that Rupa Goswami has actually received a special favor from him, special empowerment from him, bhakti shakti from him, to be able to glorify the most confidential pastimes of Krishna. And then he asks all the devotees, personal associates, including Swarup Damodar to Ramananda Roy, everyone, to bless him so that he can become dear to Krishna. So then upon being blessed by all of them, then he writes. After writing, he brings it to the assembly of devotees. And there you will see, actually a good portion of this first chapter deals with that scrutiny of Swarup Damodar. And there we will see the expertise of Swarup Damodar. To write a drama, he would actually talk about a poetic meter, he will check about rasa, he will see the duration of that, so on and so forth. Duration of how long each syllable is, he will scrutinize. He will be amazed how much knowledge Swarup Damodar has in this field of literature. And then he will do the same for Lalita Madhava as well. So this chapter we will come to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inner feelings being expressed by Srila Rupa Goswami. Priya Soham, you'll see that verse, and you'll also see Tunde Tandavani Ratim Vitanute, Tundavali Labde verse also. I do not know how much nectar these two syllables, Krishna, produce. When these two syllables, Krishna, they are vibrated, one desires many, many more years to hear. One desires millions of tongue to recite. Supreme Lord Krishna comes and dances in one's tongue, and then all the senses become inert, and Krishna enters into the courtyard of one's mind and heart. So when Swarup Damodar, when he actually recites that, he says, nobody can glorify holy name like Srila Rupa Goswami. I read something interesting regarding Namaparad. Srila Prabhupada actually says that in order, if we do any aparad for, this is in Bhagavatam, 7th canto, I'm reading 7th canto now. Prabhupada says that if we do any seva aparad, offenses during the archana process in deity worship, then in order to get rid of that, one can chant the holy name of the Lord. If one offends the holy name, then the only shelter in that case is, so for seva aparad, chanting the holy name will help. For nama aparad also, when we chant the holy name inattentively, do we do that? How often? All the time. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, there is only one way to get rid of, Prabhupada quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur and he says, there is only one way to get rid of nama aparad. And what is it? We have to keep on chanting holy name. Two conditions there. Continuously and for a long time. We have to keep on chanting the holy name, and we should also keep on chanting the holy name for a long time. Both he says. Now Prabhupada, he says, one other antidote for Namaparad is by reciting the verses. You can read, it's in the Shravanam Kirtanam verse. Yesterday I gave you exercise, start reading, it's there in that section. Prabhupada says, if we do Namaparad simply by chanting the verses that glorify the holy names, Namashtakam, Prabhupada specifically saying, there is a series of verses, 8 verses glorifying about the holy name by Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada quotes one of the verse, Namashtakam. And then he says, simply by reciting the verses glorifying the holy name, one can get rid of Namaparad also. Prabhupada says like that. And Prabhupada gives a list. You will come across many. This also. Tunde Tandavani Ratim Vitanute Tundavali Labdaye Karna Krodha Kadambini Katayate Karna Buddhebyas Braham Cheta Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritim Najane Janita Krit Biramrite Krishneti Varna Dvai. So that's the verse. Likewise, you will come across Avashanape Ennamni Kirtite Sarvapatakai Puman Vimuchate Sadya Simmatrashtar Mrigariva Vichayani Vicharyani Vichintyani Punapana Kripanasya Dananiva Tvamdama Bhamantuna. Like that, you will come across verses that glorify about the potency of the holy name. Bhagavatam itself discusses in so many places about holy name. You can search. It discusses about holy name. You will come across in Caitanya Caritamrta fully. This is a shloka book, where you can memorize every verse glorifying about the holy name. So Prabhupada says, simply by glorifying these verses on the holy name also, one can get rid of Namaparad. So when we come across these verses, we need to give special attention. I'll just read first 2-3 verses and then we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. Text 1. Pangum langayate shailam mukam avartayet shrutim yat kripa tamaham vande Krishna Chaitanyam Ishwaram. Similar verse. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the same verse. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam. Paramananda Matavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Pangum Langayate Shailam Mukam Avartayet Shrutim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. Meaning is the same. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose mercy even a lame man can cross over a mountain and a dumb man recite Vedic literature. My path is very difficult. I'm blind and my feet are slipping again and again. Again, he is remembering about his old age. Remember when Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami embarks upon this mega project, Prabhupada calls this our super contribution to the society. Caitanya Caritamrta. This is the PhD of Krishna consciousness. He was more than 91 years old. So now he is in Antya Lila. He must be even more older than 91 years. So that's why he's saying, my path is very difficult. I'm blind and my feet are slipping again and again. Therefore, may the saints help me by granting me the stick of their mercy as my support. Beautiful simile he uses. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Echai Guru Rava Karon Charana Vandan, Yaha Hoite Vigna Nasha Abhishta Purana. I pray to the lotus feet of the six Goswamis, Sri Rupa, Sanatana, Bhatta Raghunath, Sri Jiva, Gopala Bhatta and Dasa Raghunatha, so that all impediments to my writing this literature will be annihilated and my real desire will be fulfilled. Jayatam Surator Pangor Mamamanda Matirgate Mat Sarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohanav. Remember, we recite this in Pushpanjali during Vyasa Puja. Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastau Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Deva Prastali Bisevyamanav Swarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivatas Tatastitaha Karshan Venus Vaner Gopi Gopinata Sreyastunaha. These three verses, they discuss about Sambandha deity, Abhidaya deity and Prayojana deity. Glory to the all-merciful Radha and Madana Mohana. I am lame and ill-advised, yet they are my directors and their lotus feet are everything to me. Then he offers respect to Srila Govinda Dev. In a temple of jewels in Vrindavana, underneath a desire tree, Sri Sri Radha Govinda, served by their most confidential associates, sit upon an effulgent throne. I offer my humble obeisances unto them. Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai. Sri Srila Gopinatha, who originated the transcendental mellow of the Rasa dance, stands on the shore of Vamsivata and attracts the attention of the cowherd damsels with the sound of his celebrated flute. May they all confer upon us their benediction. We'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan ki jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath's devotees ki jai. Devotees in Mayapur TV, YouTube and Facebook ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vishnu Pada Krishna Vastav.